Hello, and welcome to the world of Pokemon. My name is Professor Noki, and you're here for the midweek discussion on Noki Talks. Today I'd like to begin by discussing a couple of smaller stories, starting with Marvel, where we got some terribly depressing news that Tom Holland's Spider-Man very well may be leaving the MCU. Now, this is not completely confirmed to be 100% happening as of yet, but the way that negotiations are going so far, it does appear that this could be the case. And how it got to this point is a little bit of a convoluted nightmare. It all started when Disney and Sony began renegotiating their terms after their current deal was up. It was previously agreed that Kevin Feige and Marvel could continue to use the character so long as the movies garnered over $1 billion in profit revenue. And the way their deal was set up, Sony would get 95% of the profit from that revenue, with Marvel only gaining 5%. When that contract came up for renegotiation, however, Disney decided to propose that they would gain 50% of the profit, as well as take on 50% of the cost, which they did not have before, over the movies. Obviously, with these being some of the most profitable movies that Sony has ever made, they declined this offer, and thus, the Spider-Man character is stuck in this state of a bit of limbo. In none of the sources that I saw did it explicitly state that Spider-Man would no longer be allowed to be used anywhere in any of the MCU films. However, it did say that Kevin Feige was going to be removed as the producer over any Spider-Man films, and they reported that Disney was saying to them that he could not take the time and focus necessary over characters that were not theirs. I'm with a lot of other people on this one, and I really hope that Tom Holland's Spider-Man can continue to be part of the MCU, and that Sony and Disney can work this out, and maybe even go a step further and really work out how to bring a lot more of the Spider-Man characters into the MCU, as I really do feel like their stories and their aspects and personalities could play a vital role in many different areas of what the Marvel Cinematic Universe has become to be. With so many awesome, versatile characters coming up in this area of the Marvel world, it would just be a shame if Spider-Man was not part of it. Up next, we head to a bit of happier news where we got confirmation on something that I talked about this past Sunday, which would be that Ewan McGregor will be returning to the role of Obi-Wan Kenobi for a Disney Plus series that will last between 6 and 8 episodes. Not only that, but he will also be directing a few of these episodes per his own request. This is fantastic news in my opinion. I am so excited to watch this series. It adds even more value to the Disney Plus streaming service, on top of the tons of other shows in relation to Star Wars and Marvel that we already know about, and that's not even including the ones we don't even know about that have yet to be revealed. I can't wait until more information is unveiled about this show and we get more details as to what the overall theme and plot and characters will be. And now, with the brief news out of the way, we'll turn our attention over to the main topic of discussion for tonight, which would be Pokémon Sword and Shield. First, we have a bit of a follow-up from my discussion regarding the Pokémon Worlds trailer this past week, starting with some of my afterthoughts regarding the battle mechanics that we saw. And ultimately, I really just wanted to stress how much I've been appreciating the amount of fine-tuning and balancing that Game Freak has done to the overall battle system of this game. The more we continue to see new Pokemon, moves, abilities, and battle strategies, we can certainly get a clearer picture as to how much focus has been truly put on the battling system. And this could very well explain why they had to go the extra measure of removing some of the Pokemon from the National Dex in order to maintain the balanced battling system that they've been going for in this region. And speaking of battling, in another area that really sets these games apart is the Battle Stadium. And the implications behind what this mechanic really brings to the table are just outstanding. I did state this previously when I discussed this mechanic, however I would really like to stress again that Pokemon has never provided us players the opportunity here in our very own homes to join and be part of competitions that are worldwide in scope and scale and really allow you to feel like the Pokemon master that you've always wanted to be. I personally am very excited to try out all the different online battle styles and share all of my online battle escapades with you on Noki Plays. And finally today we have the trailer that was shown off at Gamescom in Europe, which was some spectacular, crisp footage of the first town that we will be traveling through in the Galar region. The trailer began with the player character walking past the Pokemon Research Lab run by Professor Magnolia and her assistant Sonia. With how large this facility really is, it appears that Professor Magnolia also calls this residence her home. And for a brief moment in this trailer, it shows Professor Magnolia standing outside of another residence with Champion Leon standing in the background, and I have come to believe that this is actually the residence of Champion Leon and Hop. And maybe this scene is from an early part in the game where Professor Magnolia is introducing you to these characters. Next up, we get a really great view of the outside and inside of the railway stations in this game. And although it may be a really small point to make, in my opinion, it's a really awesome inclusion in this game, which is the confirmation that we will have the ability to sit down. And one thing that wasn't exactly clear from this trailer is whether this train station is accessible this early in the game, or whether it's accessible later on to travel back to this area once you've completed areas further on. We then got a little bit of a peek at the outside of the Pokemon Center, and they really seem to emphasize that this is similar yet different from what we've seen in past iterations of the centers. And from the little blue sign that was posted outside, it has been confirmed to include a Pokemart inside as well. When you include this with the screenshots that we've seen from the official website and scenes from the Japanese trailer that show off features such as Rotami and a cafe or berry juice bar of sorts, similar I'm assuming to Generation 7, it seems like the Pokemon Centers will be packed full of extremely useful facilities for us to utilize along our journeys through the Galar region. As this trailer quickly moved along, they somewhat brushed over this market that was selling, quote, fresh produce, and I really wonder if this is related to the ingredients that we saw in the treehouse presentation and the camping feature that's been rumored to include the ability to cook for your Pokemon. It would be so cool if you could go to the nearest market, pick out fresh produce for your Pokemon, go back to your tent, and then cook your Pokemon food. As I've stated many times, this would be yet another example of the added areas of immersion that they've really focused on emphasizing in this game, which perfectly relates to the clothing boutique and the fact that it now is found in the starting town of the game. Not only that, but they mentioned these can be found through many of the towns and cities through Galar, and hinted to stop by frequently to check up on the latest trends in fashion, pointing to possibilities of updates, or maybe DLC, or even event-related clothing. I know out of my entire family, my daughter is going to be so extremely excited to find out that from the very beginning of the game, you're going to be able to customize your character's clothing. And the final scene of the trailer gave us a really great glimpse of the overall beauty of the scenery of the Galar region, and this was just a taste of what is to come for the stunning visuals. Along with that, this trailer has shown us that yet again, the visuals and graphical quality of this game has been upgraded even higher than the previous trailers that we have seen. Throughout many different points in this trailer, you can see areas where the trees and landscaping looks absolutely phenomenal and looks much better than what we saw during the treehouse in June. But of course that was going to be the case, and as I've said all along, we only need patience as these games are still in development, and Game Freak has posted in every single trailer that the gameplay was not final. And now that we're only a few months away from release and distribution overall, a lot of that work has wrapped up and these games are really starting to look tight, crisp, and absolutely beautiful. Not only that, but the gameplay looks phenomenal and immersive, and I just can't wait to get my hands on these games. But that's enough Pokemon pandering for tonight. I appreciate you all for sticking through this video. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, this has been Professor Noki, signing out once again for Noki Talks.